Gary Player is here. He is a legendary golfer who won 9 Grand Slam events. He is one of 5 people to have won each major at least one time. It is known as a career Grand Slam. During the 1960s and 70s, his duels with Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer elevated golf stature around the world. At next year's Masters, the Big Three will reunite as honorary starters at Augusta National for the Masters. I'm pleased to have Gary Player at this table for the first time, and thank God for that. Welcome.
Thank you very much,
Nice
Charlie.
to
An honor to be 7,000 or more people.
My God.
All
Yeah.
heroes of mine have sat at this table. You've done a great job.
Who would have believed? Yeah. Let me take you way back to the beginning in Johannesburg, I think it was. You know, how did you learn to play this game? I mean...
Well, golf, we have some of the best golf courses in the world, probably the best climate in the world, a lot of good junior programs. My father played golf, very poor man, but insisted that I play golf, thank goodness, because I was playing all other sports at school. Started playing when I was 14, which is late, but turned pro at 17 to his disgust. Yeah. He wanted me to go on and get degrees, and I said, well, traveling around the world will be a degree that is so important, and I'm going to be a world champion because I'm going to out-practice them all.
Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Them all.
I'm going to out-hit him. And this pair of hands has hit more balls than any man that ever lived. If Vijay Singh lives as long as I do, he might hit as many or maybe more.
Is that the secret?
I think a work ethic is something that the world really needs more now than ever before to get through to young people. There's no this non-entitlement that people think they're entitled to. So I think a work ethic and a passion and a love and a desire is really the secret. And energy.
And if you have all those, it's not work.
Well, that's right. But you've also got to have energy. I think energy is a special gift that is given to people, or loaned. I think everything is loaned. Nothing is permanent, as you know.
So do you think you had a gift, or do you or that enabled you to play the game well once you put in all this practice?
Charlie, you know, this is frequently asked, and I mean, you know, you think that I won the Grand Slam on the regular tour and the Grand Slam on the senior tour. And the Grand Slam on the senior tour is probably more difficult than the Grand Slam on the regular tour because you've got to do it after 50. How can somebody like myself, a small person, say, I did it? I never do that because we all have different beliefs. I believe it was a gift that was loaned to me by the Lord. I believe that. And you know, why should he give it to me? I don't know, but it was a gift because I can't be that good. It's just something that is, I really believe is loaned to you. And it can be taken away just as quickly as we've seen it throughout history. Superstars, many of them, champions that couldn't play tomorrow for a while.
So what happens to them when that happens?
I don't know.
How can a guy win the British Open then, you know,
yeah, well, I mean,
never again really win a major tournament?
Yeah, people have won several majors and took 10 years to come back and things like that.
So what happens to the game?
You know, Charlie, we don't know. You know, I'm in the racehorse business and the golf business, and I've studied genetics and I've studied golf for, you know, I've been a pro now for 58 years, and I know a hang of a lot about nothing.
That'll get you a long way. Did you pattern your game once you began to play after anybody that was playing the game?
Ben Hogan.
Really?
I thought Ben Hogan was the best golfer I've ever seen in my life. The best striker of a golf ball. He never played on decent greens.
Better than Snead as a striker?
Over the years, far more control than Snead. Far more, yes. He hit fairways all the time. Snead never won the U.S. Open. It was Hogan. That was in his prime. When he got in the U.S. Open, he was the king. He never missed fairways.
Yeah, but I always thought that Snead had the sweetest swing, people said.
Most natural golfer probably that ever lived. But Ben Hogan, I think, is the best striker of a golf ball. He didn't have jets. He didn't have $1 million prize money. Yeah. I mean, he won $750,000 in his life and his career. And he went to war for 5 years, and he had an accident for 2 years. What would have happened if he never had that? How many majors would he have won? It's like Rod Laver in tennis. Won 2 Grand Slam events and wasn't allowed to play for 5 years because he was a pro.
Right. So he would have had the all-time record. I mean,
probably. I really believe Rod Laver would have.
Yeah, I mean, McEnroe, those guys still think Rod Laver is the best.
Well, when you think he wasn't allowed to play in his prime for 20 majors, makes you think.
So after you admired Hogan, when you look today, who has Hogan's swing?
Rory McIlroy, Jason Day has magnificent. There are a lot of them. I mean, you take this young Schwartzel from South Africa who just won the Masters. Louis Oosthuizen won the British Open. There are a host of them. And anyone can come through. There again, you don't know who's going to do it. Ricky Fowler, you don't know who's going to do it.
What is it that we don't know about winning a Grand Slam? A lot of men and women on our side with enormous talent don't get it.
Yeah.
They have enormous talent. Probably people as talented as you have
Yes.
never won a Grand Slam.
I played with people that were better than me, okay? And
So
I played with,
why did
and
you
yet
win and they
never-
didn't?
I think it's because of a passion, of a desire of never giving up, and but I think the key word to accept adversity. I think that's the big thing. To
You, in
accept
fact, said
adversity.
that you knew, as hard as you wanted to win and as hard as you tried to win, if you didn't win, you never thought it was the end of the world.
No, that's right. And I believed I was going to win every time. I think that's the big thing.
Even with Nicklaus and Palmer, you thought you were
Yes.
going to win every time?
I really believed that.
You
I
thought,
really believed that.
when you
yeah.
teed it up on the first tee,
Yeah.
I'm going to win this tournament.
I played Nicklaus in the World Match Play Championship over 36 holes in the final and beat him 6-4 and then 5-4 the next year, head to head, 36 holes, because I believed I was going to do it. Nobody else did, but I believed I was going to do it.
And if you believe and you visualize it, it can happen.
Exactly.
Now, he would hit the ball how much further than you off the tee?
Oh, 45 yards.
Is that right?
Yes, but I could play bunker shots better than he could.
Oh, of course you
And
can.
I could play wedges
Well, you can play
better than
bunker
him.
shots better than
and I
anybody
could
ever-
play chip shots better than he could.
You
So-
agree with this? That somebody said that Gary Player can hit a shot out of the bunker better than anybody ever played the game.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's not for me to say that. We've got to look at the record book.
And how is Arnold different than Jack and you?
He fell out of bed with charisma. And, you know, everybody loved Arnold. I loved Arnold. Jack loved Arnold. We played against each other. We wanted to beat each other very badly. But we had great love for each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I think of what Arnold did for the game, it's unbelievable. And so for Jack. But he had charisma, and we had time for people. You know, it wasn't this commercial big money business. It was a different life. You'd stay at people's homes at a tournament.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody, very seldom is that done today. So really, you know, Arnold has been a great
Did you
great
say,
credit.
in fact, that this has been attributed to someone, and maybe you, that all of us ought to give 25% of our earnings to Arnie because he changed the game in terms of its potential endorsement ability?
Well, he did, because the game was probably on the wane to a certain degree, and here comes this charismatic man, and he goes to Britain, and he had this he had it. How do you explain it? You know?
But you also changed the game in giving it an international dimension.
I hope so, because I travelled more miles than any athlete, for sure. Maybe more miles than any human being, I don't know. But I travelled all around the world and went into little towns and played for $25 a game, because we loved the game and we gave people pleasure. So it was a different time. I mean, there was none of this massive sums of money. We didn't play for much money. But that wasn't the criteria. We wanted to win, and we had great camaraderie with people. You look at Arnold when he was signing autographs, he'd stand there till everybody was gone, and so we had to do that as well.
Fitness for you was everything. Tell the story of your brother who's going off to World War II, and he says to his younger brother what?
Well, he's standing there. He's 17 years of age, going to World War II to fight alongside the Americans and the British and the Australians and the Allies at that time. And he said to me, "You want to be a professional sportsman?" And he bought me a set of weights. He said, "Promise me you'll use these, you'll exercise till the day you die." And I'm 76 now, and I've exercised. I've adhered to his promise, and it's the greatest thing he ever did, greatest gift. He came back. He became one of the world's leading conservationists.
Right.
Saved the rhino from becoming extinct, and got his doctorate. And thank goodness I did, because of my stature. When I think of the fitness, how it helped me traveling all these miles, traveling with time changes is not easy, as you know, you very well know. So the fitness has been, and my great dream is for young people to know this, because I started doing weights long before any of these other guys even thought about it. Frank Stranahan and I used to do it. And I'd love to be able to know people to say, well, that man introduced weight training and exercise and diet into the sport of golf.
So what do you shoot today?
Oh, I shoot anything between 70 and 74 generally.
So you can still shoot your age.
Oh, no, I break my age.
Break your age.
Unless I have a very windy, lousy day, I break it almost every time.
Do you really?
Yeah.
70 to 76?
Yeah.
What's different between your swing today and your swing when you were winning those Grand Slams?
Strength.
Is it? Strength.
Strength. Yeah, obviously.
Well, obviously club head speed, you
Yes,
mean.
club head speed, which comes from strength.
Right.
So I would have hit the ball, I mean, at least 50 yards further than
Does
I did
that
today.
mean, therefore, that the strongest, physically strongest players are often generally the best players?
No,
Yeah.
no, not necessary. But in my case, I needed that 50
Yeah.
yards. But if you look at the two of the best players, and the game today, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson.
Right.
If you look at their stats on driving, they don't hit many fairways, but
know.
they've been right up there, winning all the majors because of the short game. And this is what members misunderstand. Everybody's, they've got this dream and this idea about hitting the ball a long way. The thing that wins golf tournaments, putting, chipping, bunker shots, wedges, and putting.
Why is it that even pros can't make 3-foot putts?
Well, because the hole's not very big. Look, sometimes, under pressure, it looks the size of a Bayer aspirin.
Does it really? Oh. Now, what would you say to yourself if you were under pressure and a Grand Slam event was
Yes.
at stake?
Yeah.
And you have a putt that will make you either the winner or the runner-up?
Which I had on many occasions.
Indeed. So
My
what would you say to
philosophy is,
yourself?
I can either make it or I can miss it. But I've practiced hard. The odds are
know how to
I'm
make it.
going to make it.
Yeah.
It's the right attitude, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think attitude is a big thing in life?
Of course I do.
Yeah. And it's something you got to work
It's
at.
always half full for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, if Tiger was playing with Jack at his best, who would outdrive the other?
Be the same.
Really?
Yeah, I played with them both and studied that.
And that's what, about 300 yards or more?
Oh, you're around the 310, 320.
Right. Both of them.
Oh, yes. People forget. It's really not fair to make comparisons between different eras. You can only say so and so because
the equipment's
the
different.
equipment. I mean, the golf ball today. I mean, Callaway. I was just down at Callaway. They've got a 5-piece ball for the pros, a 3-piece ball for the amateurs. Things I never dreamt of. Yeah. Drivers, you want to draw the ball, they've got a draw bias. I mean, you go there and you see what they're doing. They've got a test performance center. They can tell you the spin on the ball, and you're hitting it too high, and they can take the little screw and they tighten it this, and the next thing you're drawing the ball. If you're fading it, it's beyond one's imagination.
I've read you said the following, that Tiger will come back.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
Well, I have to. I mean, the man has been so great. He's been so talented. And I really know it's important for the game that he comes back. So I want to try and be positive because I love the game, and the game needs him to come back. I can't say definitely, but how can you be that talented and suddenly lose it all?
Well, that's what I think, too. But do you think it's physical or psychological, i.e. he has an injury in his left leg?
Well, that's a debatable issue that I don't really know and cannot give an opinion on. But when you have 3 operations on a knee,
Indeed.
That concerns me. And
I mean, he really pounded that knee.
yeah, and I also feel, I just can't help but feeling, I was looking at his swing on television yesterday when he was younger.
Yeah.
His hands were higher, and he had the club on line. Now it's shorter here. And I just feel he's getting too big.
Yeah.
On the top of his chest and his arms. That's only my
He's working
opinion.
out. That's what it
He
is.
works it out, but I mean, I just feel he's getting too big here, which shortens the swing a little bit.
So he's not going.
So, but that's only my opinion. But the man is so talented. He's so focused. I just can't imagine he's not going to come back and win these majors. I'd be awfully surprised.
So he'll win more majors than Jack in your judgment.
He's
at 14, Jack is at 18.
Yeah, he's got to win 5 more
Exactly,
to
to
beat
win.
Jack. That's a career. I don't know about that. That's who knows? Only the gods know about that. Anybody who makes predictions about that is stupid. But he is so talented, and all I can say, the game really needs him very badly.
What was the moment that you wish you could most replay?
Replay.
Yes, replay.
The Masters, I won the Masters in 1961. In 1962, I was 2 shots ahead of Arnold Palmer with 3 holes to go.
Yes.
And I put the shot in there at 16, about 12 foot from the hole, and he missed the green to the right. Now, anybody who knows the green to the right knows you cannot get it down in 2 because you've got to hit it way out to the right. And it comes down the hill and gathers speed. And I said to my caddy, we've got him. And it came down that hill at 100 miles an hour, hit the flag, went right in the hole.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So what did you say to your caddy then?
That was the most, well, I said, the golfing gods are on his side at the moment, but we still got him by 1 shot. The next hole, he hooked it into Eisenhower's tree.
Yeah.
Took a 5-iron, knocked it on the green, 25 foot of hold that.
It was his day.
Then I had an 18-hole playoff. I came back, I did the front 9 in 33.
Yeah.
He was 36.
So
And
you 3 up.
Yes, so he had a bad shot at 10 to the right and held his putt coming across the green and came back in 31 and won. So that was... But the year before, I finished. He finished with a double bogey on the last hole. So it all evens out in the long run. Now, this business about he's an unlucky player or he's a lucky player. I've heard people say all these great shots you see at the last few holes. They say it's luck. I remember playing with Nicklaus in the British Open at Carnoustie, and we were going head to head, and I beat him in the last round. I hit a 3 wood that far from the hole on a par 5, and people said, "Well, that's a lucky shot at the time." Well, the harder you practice, the luckier you get.
Yes, that's true. About everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So wearing black,
Yes.
where did that come from?
Well, my father, who was a miner and a very poor man, said, you know, one thing you've got to do is have a brand. And my son, who runs my business, said, you've got to have a brand. And then I came
Man
over
in
here.
black.
Yeah, and I saw Jack Paladin have
Oh,
Gun
yeah,
Will
right,
Travel.
right,
And he
right.
had the black and
Yeah.
the silver holster. And I said, I'm from Black Africa. I've got to wear black. And so I became known as the Black Knight. And the people I've met, it's unbelievable. I mean, Elvis Presley, President of the
You
United
met
States.
Presley?
Yes. I'm going to tell you this little story. In 1961, I go on one of the morning shows and I say, 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 get ready now, go Pat go. You can do anything, but don't step on my blue shade shoes, baby. And he sees that, so he says, I want to meet that guy. So I'm in Los Angeles, and Hal Wallace takes me over to meet him. And he's on the stage.
Hal
and
Wallace being the film producer.
Yes.
Right.
Now, Elvis is standing there. He puts his jacket on, well-mannered. How do you do, sir? I'd like to play golf. He had a grip like this. Looked like a cow giving birth to a roll of barbed wire. Like this. Harley Davidson King. Stands like this. He says, what's important, Gary? I said, Elvis, you've got to learn to use the hips. I said, you've got to wind up and unwind. He says, the hips. I said, yes. He says, baby, you're talking to the right man. He says, man, the hips.
Is that right?
Yeah, I love
Now, was this
Elvis.
on film anywhere?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think so,
Oh,
because it
okay.
was just done spontaneously. But, man, I love that man. And you think what his music did. And live today, my daughter from South Africa sent me on the iPad the other day, Elvis singing Blue Suede Shoes. Young, thin, handsome man. He was something, wasn't he?
You've written one book that I know about called Don't Choke. What's the lesson to not choke?
That pressure is self-bearing, and you've got to make comparisons. And I think of the tough times I had with my mother dying and my father in the gold mine and my brother at war, and coming home to a dark house, and there was a black gentleman there called John who made me a bit of food occasionally, and I'd have to get up and travel to school and travel back. But I went to a great school. You had to stand up when the teacher came in the class. You had to take your hat off. And great sporting facilities. So it was tough.
But that's what taught you not to choke. Because
think
you,
so, because
you had
when
a
I-
tougher.
Yes. Yeah.
You knew how to handle adversity.
I think so. I always made a comparison. Is this as tough as what you had as a kid?
Yeah.
No. You know, everything is in the, it's everything's in the mind, isn't it?
You've got 10 commandments. I want to find them out here. I found this interesting, and I wrote them down here somewhere. 10 commandments you have for here they are.
10 business commandments, yeah.
But it applies to life.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
I think so.
Okay, I'm just going to read them, and you comment on them if you want to. Change is the price of survival.
We all have to change. Otherwise, you don't survive. I get a kick out of politicians when one man says he's got a different idea than he had a few years ago. They call him flip-flopping. Everybody flip-flops in life. I don't know anybody that doesn't flip-flop. Do you believe in the same things you believed in 5, 10 years ago? Change is the price of survival. Winston Churchill said that.
In fact, he did. What Churchill also said is that, if you see new facts and don't change, then something's wrong with you.
Exactly. So
Then you say everything in business is negotiable except quality.
you can't do deals without quality. You've got to have quality. Otherwise, it doesn't last.
A promise made is a debt incurred.
Well, people are inclined to forget their promises when it suits them.
For all we take in life, we must pay.
We are taking so much out of life, and what the great John Kennedy said, it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. We've got to contribute to society, because society gives us so much.
Did you see that story about the Kennedy people sending Arnie a film of Kennedy's swing, asking Arnie during the 60s to look at it?
I didn't know that.
And they called and they scheduled a game for Arnie to go down to Florida.
Yeah.
And then the president had to cancel because his back was bothering him. He had a bad back, as we all know.
Yeah,
And Arnie was very excited to go down and play with the president.
Yes,
and he looked at
absolutely.
the screen, and he had actually a pretty good swing.
Yes.
The president had a pretty good swing. He didn't like it to be known that he was a golfer much because Eisenhower
Yes,
had
exactly.
gotten so much, Did you knew President Eisenhower, of course.
Very well, had dinner with him and spent some time with him. A wonderful man.
Yeah.
Wonderful man.
And what other presidents have you met?
Well, had dinner with President Carter and nice letters from President Reagan and President Ford. And
Ford loved golf.
Yeah, and both President Bushes in the Oval Office with the son. And when Jack and I captained the President's Cup for America and the rest of the world. So been blessed to meet all these wonderful people and, such a great admirer of the United States, because you've been such a contributor, such a Samaritan to the world. Unfortunately, the people of the world are forgetting what you've done for them. That's the sad thing. But Winston Churchill also said, why does he hate me? What have I done for him lately? And that old saying about no good deed goes unpunished, my goodness me, that's a true saying, isn't it?
You also say persistence and common sense are more important than intelligence.
Well, people put such a great emphasis on education. You know, there are a lot of people that are highly educated derelicts looking for jobs, but people who have persistence and personalities and a smile and love in their heart, they can surpass those people.
This is not a recommendation for anybody, but the late Steve Jobs never graduated from college, dropped out of college, but hung around, wouldn't go to classes, but didn't want to be part of the process.
There you are.
And
he was a genius.
To learn. He was indeed.
Indeed.
The fox fears not the man who boasts by night, but the man who rises early in the morning.
Well, the man who stands, you know, in the old English times, they're going to be hunting foxes, and he's getting drunk and standing at the bar. The fox not going to worry about him because he's not going to get up early in the morning. But the man who gets up early in the morning looking for that fox, he's in trouble.
There you go. Accept the advice of the man who loves you, though you like it not at present.
How many times with children, we all have families, do you tell your son or your daughter something and they don't want to accept it? I know I have a son that plays golf, but Jack told him the same thing and it was fine.
I know. I know. It's true. Trust instinct to the end, though you cannot render any reason.
Instinct is a special gift. It's another special gift. You must trust that instinct.
And the height...
This is my favorite.
The heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but that while their companions slept, were toiling towards upward in the night.
Yes. In other words, one of the reasons I became a champion, when a lot of my fellow pros were sleeping, I came home after dinner and went to the hotel manager and got the key for the gym and exercised. I didn't want to do it. And the thing is, the height that great men reached.
Right.
Many people reach a pinnacle in golf, but they don't keep it. You never hear of them again. You know, reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight. It just didn't happen. You had to have dedication. You had to have application and dedicate your life to do that, to maintain it.
There is no substitute for personal contact.
Oh, that's right. I mean, you have advertising companies use advertising in magazines and people turn over the page. You have them. I just did a day for Verizon and SAP in California. I played with all their guests, met them, had pictures, breakfast, clinics, and time with them, and send them pictures. That means something. It's personal contact.
Do you believe you got the credit you deserve for the game you played because you played at the same time of two people who had so much attention given to them, Arnie and Jack?
I do believe so, because remember, I was an international player, and they look at the records in golf and they put it in perspective and they say, okay, let's look at the records. And I was given, having longevity in the sport, I was given a lot of credit. I have no beefs about that, and I don't blame the American people for putting Arnold and Jack before me. That's understandable, and I accept that. I mean, that's something that...
Apart from them, do you think you've gotten full credit for what you achieved on the course?
I think so, yes, because the record book can't lie. The record book doesn't tell lies, and if you look at the number of majors and the years, it doesn't tell a lie.
Tell me the people whose game you admired over the years that you have played with. Like Ballesteros?
He was a scrambler. He was very much a scrambler.
So not so much.
No, but people, Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, I mean, Jack Nicklaus was a tremendous player. You know, you think of the number of major championships he finished second in. Now, imagine if Tiger had the 18 majors on the board and Nicklaus was coming back and saw that's where the goalpost is. Nicklaus would have won probably 22. He would have worked harder to achieve that.
Nicklaus was a hard worker?
Reasonable. I wouldn't say he wasn't a Hogan.
Here's what he said about you, though. He said pound for pound. You weighed, at your best playing weight, about 150.
Yeah, around about there.
What do you weigh now?
140.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I don't eat the same. I'm on a completely different diet now.
Yeah. You eat what, fruit and vegetables?
I'm very much a vegetarian, 85% vegetarian.
Really?
Yeah.
You have a campaign against childhood obesity. You think it's ruining us?
Charlie, this to me is the most important question you've asked me today. Childhood obesity is one of the most serious things on the planet today. We talk about wars, economies, and things like that. Almost between 23 and 30% of the United States youth are obese. how can America afford, how can other countries where their children are also becoming obese, not China, not Japan, although they're starting. Wealth breeds bad health. How can governments afford to pay for this? Diabetes, my one son is a diabetic. I'm telling you, it is so serious. It's coming at us, the diabetes, the high cholesterol in kids of 8 and 10 years of age, like a tsunami. And the parents have got to see they eat more vegetables. Some of these kids, Jamie Oliver came from Britain, said they didn't even know what cauliflower, spinach, and cabbage was.
Right, he did.
So we've got to, as parents, we brought the children into this world. We've got to start getting them to exercise. Come home from school, sit in front of your computer. But make them go outside, make them ride their bicycle. Buy every kid a bicycle. So you can come and sit in front of their computer after you've ridden your bicycle or done something. We've got to do that.
Yeah. So tell me what your fitness routine is today. What have you done so far as we tape this at 6 o'clock?
Okay, well, today I had to get up early to come.
What's early?
I got up at 5:30.
Yeah.
And
so what do you normally get up at what time?
Right about that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it varies a lot, but depending where I am and time changes. Right. But I try to go to the gym as many days as I can. I was in the gym 2 days ago. I did 1,000 sit-ups.
1,000?
1,000. And I got on the treadmill, and I did the weights. I did my neck. I exercised my entire body.
What do you do to your neck?
Well, I give it, you know, because as you get older, your neck gets stiff, so you've got to do that, and you've got to do the dynamic tension, and you've got to exercise every muscle in your body. Otherwise, it just goes like that. And you look at the average man of 70 today. He's existing. He's not living. So we've got to change our philosophy.
Okay, so you do sit-ups. What else? And you do the throat.
I do wrist rolls.
Yeah.
I do all kinds of stretching.
Do you still bench press 300 pounds?
No, I do bench pressing just to loosen me up, just toning here. Just
so you don't want to get too
No, not too
muscular.
big here and golf.
Yeah.
And then I do running on the treadmill. I do.
What do you run? 3 or 4 miles?
Yeah. And then I end up with a lot of speed.
Yeah.
A lot of speed to keep the muscles waking up. Don't let them go to sleep. Because they go to sleep very quickly. Exercise is like reading for the mind.
So if I wouldn't do this, I'm not going to do this because we don't have the perfect studio to do this. But if you're doing one of these morning shows and somebody said to you, do 1,000 get on the ground and do 1,000 push-ups.
Sit-ups.
Sit-ups.
Yeah.
No, push-ups.
I couldn't do 1,000 push-ups. No, I couldn't do 1,000 push-ups.
How many could you do?
I don't know.
You could do 100?
I could go close to that. I've never tested myself to do. I just do maybe 50 in the morning when I do.
But
just
you go
to keep
1,000 sit-ups.
1,000 sit-ups, yes, and I do them in all different ways.
You do it with an 80-pound weight. It used to.
Yes, sometimes a 100-pound weight. I do it, and then I'll get on the ball and I'll do it. I do it all different ways, you know, because you've got to keep this. And if I can show you this without boasting, that at 76, it's like a plank, man. See. Some of these guys today, they eat so much they haven't seen their knees in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So
you're that hard, huh?
Yeah, I work out hard. I work out hard. But that doesn't mean to say
you have no illness, nothing.
Well, who knows? I mean, I just noticed you know, you notice little marks on your skin.
So you'll go see your dermatologist.
No, you never know in life, do you? You can never guarantee your health. There's no guarantee.
How about vitamins? Do you eat any vitamins?
Not a big vitamin eater. Have some. But not a big vitamin. If you eat properly, the right foods, they contain the right.
Your doctor says your arteries are clean.
He's with my cholesterol, my sugar, and things like that. Yes, heartbeat.
Now, does diabetes run in the family?
My father had type 2.
Yeah.
But my son has a type 1.
Because often it skips a generation.
That's correct.
I want to be very careful about this because I'm not.
Yeah.
But
and
that's my
he takes that little old needle.
Yeah.
If young people at school, and school should be teaching this, could see, they should be showing films of type 1 diabetics, how they put that needle in them 4 or 5 times a day. They should be showing this to kids in the school. And I beg of the schools in America to increase physical training to 3 times a week. Don't take it out. They take it out. I was invited by 7 congressmen, or through Callaway Company, to address 7 congressmen. And I said to them, please increase the exercise in your states and your schools, and make sure that they're given good food. You've got to admire Mr. Bloomberg, what he's trying to do in this area.
Indeed.
You've got to admire Mrs. Obama, what she's done.
Right.
You know, it's
childhood obesity.
Childhood obesity.
You're 76.
Yeah. And I tell you where I've traveled just in the last week: Johannesburg, Amsterdam, Italy, Japan, back here. Then I'm going to Honduras, and then I'm going to Hong Kong, and then I'm going to China and Japan and Johannesburg.
You fly commercial, or you have your own private plane?
Commercial.
Do you really?
Commercial, yeah. That's not conducive to good health, I can tell you.
What, commercial?
Flying, period.
Yeah, I know. That's
I
what
don't
people
think-
tell me all the time, because they all
Yeah.
say, stop flying so much around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm off to Turkey next week, and they say, oh, this week.
Yeah, well,
And they
you've
say,
been
"Stop."
let me just say this before we hang up, how much I admire you and what you've contributed to society. Your shows have been unbelievable, the people you've interviewed and the pleasure. And isn't that nice to give people pleasure?
Will you play golf with me?
I would love to. I'd love to. When you traveling this way and I'm traveling that way, maybe we'll meet in the middle.
Somewhere. I'm South Africa. I'll come to South Africa.
All right.
You know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on this program.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed doing it.